All right, so I've just started recording the session. So again, let's go ahead and see what was the last part that was remaining. And again, that is funnels in destination type of a goal. So let's go ahead and write this as funnel, and I'll go ahead and select that as a destination type of a goal. And in the last session, we talked about what destination type of a goal was. So we discussed how if you have any website where there is a dedicated page to a goal completion, to a point in time where you can say that if somebody has viewed this page, that person must have done something great. For example, an order confirm page could be just that, wherein if you see a URL, if anyone has seen this URL on your website, then that must mean that a person has bought something from you. There is no other way to get to that URL apart from buying something. So I can say that whenever there is anyone who views this particular URL, mark that as a goal. And if you remember, we also discussed that we are not going to make domain a part of this URL. We are going to remove that. So whatever is the rest of the URL, that's going to stay right here as is. And then there is an option over here for funnels. And of course, if you open it, there are a few things that you can do with it. There are a few options that you can play around with. But first, let's see what a funnel really is. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you a funnel that some of you might have seen. So at least we can start from somewhere. So this is an AIDA model, AIDA. And of course, as you can see, A stands for awareness, then I have interest, desire, and action. Basically what it means, and again, this is the one of the most primitive and one of the most helpful funnels at the same time in marketing. So what happens is that you will find that before a person gets in touch with your brand and ultimately buys something from your brand, there are a few steps that a person takes meaningfully. So what happens is initially they are first at one point in time they're aware, they come to the awareness of your brand. If we take a look at iPhone, I'm pretty sure that all of you guys know what iPhone is. So at least Apple has done a great job in last 8-10 years, wherein they have been able to establish a brand which is known to everybody. At least awareness is handled. So a lot of people are aware of that product. But just because somebody is aware of that product does not mean that they're particularly interested in that product. In fact, I know a lot of my friends don't like iPhones, so they don't want to buy iPhone. They're just not interested in that phone at all. So what happens is that, of course, you have a large pool of customers who are aware, but of course, not all of them are going to be interested. So there are going to be fewer people who are interested. And then, of course, just because somebody is interested doesn't really mean that the person is passionate enough to do something about it. And that is the desire part. So again, the people in that desire phase are going to be even fewer. So as you can see, as you can pick out the trend already, as we are moving down the funnel, what's happening is that fewer and fewer people are actually making it that particular part of the funnel. And that is why you can see that the shape that it takes is top heavy and bottom thin, so much like a funnel, and that's why it's called a funnel. And lastly, of course, we have action. And of course, there are a lot of people, including me, sometimes I think that, hey, I need to go to the gym and get in the shape and all of those things. That is truly my desire, but I hardly act on it, right? So of course you have so many people like that as well, who would really desire that phone but may not want to act on it just now. So again, that is basically that last leg right there. Now what happens is that this AIDA funnel cannot be tracked in Google Analytics because this is a very macro funnel. So awareness, if a person is aware of your brand, that is not a measurement you can do by Google Analytics, because again, Google Analytics only tells you exactly what happened on your website. So this particular funnel cannot really be built in GA. You cannot really track these things into GA, but there are other funnels which you can track. In fact, one of the very popular funnels which is going to go hand in hand really quick, I'll go ahead and put that in the notepad really quick. Let me bring that up. So basically, yeah, just give me 1 second. Awesome, got it. So basically, what happens is that there is a funnel called checkout funnel, which is a part of our website, and we can definitely track it, especially for those websites who have some kind of a revenue or monetization format where somebody can actually buy something from the website. So if you have an e-commerce website, well, this is a funnel which will work for you. But there are more funnels. In fact, let me go ahead and give you a little definition of funnel. And of course, if you go on the internet, you'll find many different definitions of funnel. But when it comes down to funnel for a website, I'll go ahead and give you my own definition, which is going to be pretty easy to understand. And of course, if you go ahead and read outside, even though the words might not match, they're going to mean exactly the same thing. So basically, when it comes down to funnel of the website, what's going to happen is, because again, website funnels are all that we can track in Google Analytics. If there is any funnel that happens outside the website, for example, awareness doesn't really always come from a website. So it might be that a person is reading the newspaper, or he just saw a billboard in Chandni Chowk or Connaught Place of Delhi, then doesn't mean that you can actually necessarily track that person. So when it comes down to funnel of a website, what it is that it is a series of pages leading customer to a focused end goal. It is a series of pages that leads a customer to a focused end goal. What does that even mean? And like I said, there is definitely one example called checkout funnel. We are going to see this funnel through the lens of checkout funnel and see how that is a funnel, and then how can we even implement that in our own Google Analytics. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I will go to a website which I'm sure you would know by now, and that is jabong.com. So if you take a look at jabong.com, this is the homepage for Jabong. As you can see, it is loaded with banners. There is a top navigation as well, and if I just hover up on any field, as you can see, it is going to give me a few options, few subcategories right in front of me, and so that I can go ahead and pick and choose which one is the subcategory which I want to go and I want to buy things from. But apart from top navigation as well, if I just scroll down, as you can see, there are more and more banners just appearing right in front of me. So what's really happening is that actually this entire page is all about exploration. At this moment in time, Jabong really doesn't know that what Prateek Mehta is here for. It doesn't have any idea about that. So what it's trying to do is it is trying to give me all sorts of options which I can avail. So just to flaunt their options, and again, just so that I might get engaged in anything. Now what happens is that if I go in a specific subcategory, so this is the homepage that I've shown you. If I take a look at this particular section called women kurtas and kurtis, as you can see, there are a lot of different products, but exploration is still on. The website is still trying to make me explore. I can go ahead and click over here, and it will say that, okay, you know what, if you like this product, you will like other products as well. So again, it's going to maybe, let's say, give me a few more products which are in line with that product that I was viewing earlier. Again, it is trying to make me explore more. So far, again, I'm being able to explore more. As you can see, I'm looking at this one product, but if I scroll down over here, again, there are more products I can go ahead and take a look at. And of course, my top navigation is there, and if I scroll down at the bottom, there are many more links over here as well, which are there to make me engage, to make me explore more. I can go ahead and go to Daniel Klein or Dorothy Perkins right from here itself. So as you can see, quite a lot of things I can do as a customer. But what happens if I ultimately pick something that I like? So let me just go ahead and go back to kurtas and kurtis, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and select size. I'll just go ahead and go to my cart, and this is the cart page. And from this page you will see something really different happening. That so far every page of Jabong has been all about exploration. It has tried to give me more and more options in terms of products, as well as different places that I can go, different categories, subcategories, and even brands, of course. So over here, however, you'll find that there is no top navigation. There is, if I scroll at the bottom of the screen, there is no footer, which was actually loaded with all the links. It is all gone. And at this moment in time, there are only very few places where I can go ahead and click on something and I can do something. There are very, very few avenues for me to do that. Why is Jabong really doing that? Well, Jabong is really doing that to make sure that now that I have picked the product, now that I've added this to cart, I must be focused. The customer must get focused towards only one activity, and that is to purchase something. So every other aspect of the funnel, or every aspect of the website has been trimmed down to make sure that the customer is not distracted at all. And again, this is a very tried and tested kind of a methodology. It is a tried and tested way to make sure that your customers are sticking through to your e-commerce checkout funnel. And that's what it is. This is a start of the checkout funnel. This is where it begins. Now, if I was to go ahead and click on place order, which is basically the main button, main call to action over here. If I go ahead and click over here, what you'll find is that suddenly you can see that there is a pattern right over here. So there is a step one login, and then there is a step two address, then there is a review order, and lastly there is a payment. And as you can see, this kind of clearly qualifies to be a funnel, because as you can see, it is a series of pages and it is leading customer to a focused end goal, and that again end goal is to make a purchase. So this particular kind of a format is called a checkout funnel, because over here these are few series of pages I'm going to go through just to be able to ultimately buy the product. That is my focused end goal as a customer. So that is why this is going to be a funnel. But again, it is a funnel of a great consequence, because again, this is going to define how many people ultimately buy things from you. So it is called a checkout funnel. So this part clear to everyone? Bhavna, Jitesh, Kuldeep, Mayurakshi, Prateek, Shefali, Simon, is this clear to all of you guys that what is a funnel, and then again, how is this really coming into being? Perfect. Thank you, Kuldeep. Thank you, Bhavna, Mayurakshi. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prateek. Perfect. Thank you, Arnab. All right. So that being said, now what happens is, let's go one step forward. Now that we have understood the funnel, now is the time to go ahead and start tracking it. Because what happens is, and I'll try to briefly give you an analogy that why is tracking this aspect very, very important. So you might remember, it's been some time now, that almost 1 or 2 years back there was a Commonwealth game, or maybe 4 years back. But basically there was some games going on, and at that moment in time, Indian team had participated in marathon. And what happened was that the person who was selected to run the marathon from India, she was going to represent India, and unfortunately she was not even able to complete the marathon, which is a real big disaster. Because of course, if you really think about it, what happens is that these particular athletes work hard day and night for years to go ahead and be able to perform well in these marathons. And then you have this case which got blown out of proportions, where a person was not even able to finish the marathon. So early on, what happened was that there was a huge backlash against the athlete, and a lot of people came out and they said all the nasty things to the athlete. in this case. Why? Because nobody in fact could believe that there was somebody who missed the opportunity to even finish the marathon in the first place. But as the days went by, people realized, and of course, that was a statement coming from the athlete itself, that of course, that what happens is that when somebody is running a marathon, there is a process of putting checkpoints after every once in a while. And what happens is that on these checkpoints, each country can set up their booth and they can provide refreshments to the athlete as they pass on through those checkpoints. So what happens is that these particular people are going out and they are going from one checkpoint to another and all of those things. And each time, of course, they get a refreshment. But what happened was that Indian team was not actually present at any of the booths. All the booths were empty. So she did not get any refreshments, and that is why she could not complete it. And of course, when it comes down to Indian team, they said that the athlete actually refused, that she did not even want any of it. She did not want any refreshments. So that's what she had said, and that is why they were not there. So I'm not sure what happened, and of course, this is not. I'm not really any news agency for that. But what I'm trying to say over here is that even marathon runners, what happens is that they are preparing day and night for running marathons. They work all day, every day to get to that final finish line. But what happens is that even they need a very good, smooth experience at every checkpoint. And that's what these steps are. You will find that you will need to make sure that your people are smoothly transitioning from one step to another. As my previous manager used to say, that these are people who are running at you with cash in hand. If you will make their life more hectic, if you will not really smoothen out their experience, even though they want to give you money, but they won't. In fact, however, if you do try to smoothen out this process, it can easily lead you to about 20% increase in your conversion rate. That is one of the biggest part of conversion rate optimization. That is a very, very budding new field in US. And again, a lot of people, a lot of consulting organizations are always focusing on this one. Of course, India is a little behind, but again, in these fronts. But again, that is probably going to be one of the biggest things in India as well. Conversion rate optimization, of course, keeping in mind the checkout funnel. So let's see how that is configured. Again, the important part is that to understand how or what these things are, what is a funnel, and of course, why is this important? The tracking part is very, very easy. Because over here, what we have to do is we have to actually go ahead and only enter the URLs, and that's about it. So first of all, let's go ahead and define how many pages do we really need? How many steps do we really need? So of course, if we talk about Jabong, as you probably noticed, there was a cart page, then there was a login page, then address, then review order, then payment. So four over here and then one cart. So of course I need 5 steps only. So first what I'll do is I'll go ahead and name them. So cart was the first one, then was login, and then it was, let me see, address, and then then it was a review order, so review page, and lastly it was a payment page. And then on the right hand side, I have to enter the URLs. But again, going with the same notation over here, as you can see over here, we did not enter the domain name. So we'll do the same thing over here. So what we'll do is, instead of writing the domain name, I'm just going to write the / over here, and then I will say /cart. So that is basically what my URL is going to be. Then /login, that is going to be my login page URL. Then let's say this is /shipping, and then of course /review, and then this can be slash pay. Again, on the right hand side, these are all my URLs, guys. These are all my URLs. Again, only the domain part is missing. Once I've done this, all I need to do is hit on save. And not only from this point in time, I will be able to see how many times my goal has been completed, because that is going to be measured by how many times people have viewed this particular URL. Moreover, I would also be able to see how people are flowing between these pages, these particular pages over here. Of course, I will show you how these particular reports look like. Of course, in Google Analytics. So I'll just go ahead and do that, because of course I don't have this. Uh, Now Jitesh is asking, can we use this data for remarketing? So yes, this data can actually be used for remarketing. There are a couple of ways you can do that. Of course, you have your remarketing partners who are going to be with you, and these remarketing agencies which can help you with that. But moreover, there is also um it's something called Audience Center by Google Analytics. I think that comes in a paid version only, the Google Premium version, but there is a version which helps you go ahead and tackle this. So basically, any person who comes on your website, based on Google Analytics data, you can remarket them, you can target them, you can do whatever with them. And of course, that would include your remarketing as well. So again, this is how the page looks, or the report looks, just to give you a little brief about how this is going to come into picture, how this is going to really look. As you can see, this is a very similar report to ours, a very similar kind of structure to ours. It is starting from add to cart. Of course, there are few pages in the middle, and then lastly, it's a sales confirmation page. And it is giving us a very cool amount of information. As you can see, 8,098 people started their journey on add to cart, but 5,700 people exited from that step alone. That doesn't mean exited the website, but they exited the flow that they should have maintained. And of course, out of that, 2,393 people, 719 people left, and then of course, 1,600 people carried forward to the next step. And as you can see, this is going to be a trend for every single funnel. You will see the biggest fall off happen on the top of the funnel, and the lowest kind of a fall off happening at the lower end of the funnel. That is because with each passing time, you will have more and more committed people who are going to remain in the system. The rest, everybody is going to go. So with each passing step, you will be left with more and more number of uh, committed people, and that's why you will see that the fall off from those particular steps is going to be very much minimal. So of course, if your trend isn't any different than this, of course you need to work on your website. But again, that is what a funnel report is, using destination type of goal. As you can see, it is not only giving you a count of how many times something happened, but you can also go ahead and see that how these people are flowing from these one page to another, because again, that is what user flow is all about. You can go ahead and see if that is even working out for your business. Then I have this question, says, can this be used in an industry other than e-commerce business? Yes, absolutely. It can be also used in lead generation. So you might remember, or you might have seen websites where in fact you can enter your details, but once you have filled in your details, you are going to be taken to a thank you page where the website owner would say that, hey, thank you very much for leaving your details. Somebody from our sales team is going to get in touch with you. So in that is a part of destination type of a goal, where you are basically sending that person to a thank you page just because that person has confirmed his lead. So again, a similar scenario can also be used for this kind of a report. So that can definitely happen. So as you can see, pretty decent report. Again, a very unique feature over here called funnels as well. Is this clear? Adnan, Arnab, Bhavna, Jitesh, Kuldeep, Mayurakshi, is this clear? Prateek, Shefali, and Simon. Perfect. Thank you very much, Mayurakshi, Bhavna, Kuldeep. Thank you very much. Awesome. So now let's go one step beyond this. Now what has happened is we have definitely talked a lot about these configurations and the things that you can do using these configurations in Google Analytics. All's fair. Now let me go ahead and go to a data set which we will be consulting for a few hours today and maybe next few sessions as well. So now we are going to talk about reports. We're going to see how these reports are and how these reports are going to let us realize and make sense of our data so we can go ahead and do something meaningful with our website. However, over here, the data that I'm going to be taking, of course, use of, this is collecting from one of my analytics related websites. As you can see, the bounce rate is quite poor. I need to work on it. But again, we are going to discuss more and more about this particular website in a short while. But before that, let me go ahead and close all these tabs really quick. We won't be needing them anymore. All right. So now what happens is, again, as I was saying, that we are going to be taking a look at reporting from now on. We have definitely talked a lot about these complicated settings and configurations. We've talked about how to link your website with Google Analytics for the first time and even do the data validation. So we've come very far. But now is a time when we are going to lift up the hood and we're going to see how this Google Analytics tool looks like and of course what each of these data points really mean. So of course, in this particular example, I'm going to take this example of this particular website, which is dedicated to my analytics blog. And as you can see, there is some bit of something going on over here. Now, can anybody guess what is going on over here? So let me go ahead and check. Yep, that's it. So now there is one interesting pattern that is emerging over here. Can anybody point out? So of course, I'll go ahead and point that out. Even in fact, this is the first time I'm seeing over here as well, right with you. But I'll tell you something really interesting out of this data. Can anybody tell me what's really? I mean, can you see a pattern over here just by looking at this trend over here? Can you see a little? Can you spot something going on? And by the way, you guys can definitely take a guesses over here. You can definitely, there is no negative marking for wrong answers. So you can definitely pitch in. So I definitely have one answer or one particular input saying weekend traffic is lesser. Okay, Prateek, what do you think? Kuldeep, Mayurakshi, Adnan, what do you think? Arnab, do you see a pattern over here? Bhavna? Okay, so let me go ahead and tell you one thing. It is regularly, yes. It is okay, dips regularly. Okay, so now, yes. So these two are definitely very, very good insights. Now, if these both statements are true, that weekend traffic is less and it dips regularly, what can you say about my audience? What can you say about my audience? What kind of people are coming to my website? If my website traffic dips regularly and the weekend traffic is less, both of them are true, by the way. Both of them are also true. Jitesh, what do you think? Prateek, Shefali, what do you think? What can you say about my audience? What kind of people are coming to my website? If there is, if the weekend traffic is less, and of course if it dips regularly. What do you think? What kind of a traffic do I have coming on my website? Any guesses? Guys, you did, you are actually doing a great job. Both guesses are right so far. So you guys can guess without any hesitation. You guys are spot on so far. Yes, absolutely right, Adnan and Shefali. So I have my audience, which is basically professionals. So they are actually, so Simon is saying people are only buying and checking when they are online. Yes, yes, absolutely. But basically, what has happened is that these people are professionals. So they are coming and they're checking out maybe during their office hours and then they're leaving. Now, one last thing I want to ask you guys. What kind of a device do you think they might be using? Are they going to use mobile device? Would they be using according to your thought? I mean, just by looking at this particular trend line, do you think they're using mobile to get to my website or a laptop? What device do you think that they are using to come to my website? So Shefali says mobile and then Nath says laptop. So I've got 1-1 on both sides. Okay, in fact 2-2. So Simon and Shefali both are saying mobile and Jitesh and Adnan laptop. All right, guys. So the battle is on, guys. So if you're not joined the battle, please join now. So I've got 2 on mobile and of course now 3 on laptop. What do you guys think? Where would you place bets on? Bhavna, what do you think? Mobile, mobile, Simon says. All right. So Bhavna says laptop. Mayurakshi says laptop. Yes, absolutely. They're going to be with laptops. So Adnan says since they're working professionals on weekdays, I think they should be using a work laptop. Yes, absolutely. So generally, again, this is something that we are going to talk about. These are some interesting things. Again, this is something that I saw right up front in the trend line itself. So I wanted to bring it up because this is a very common trend for desktops, websites which are very much in tune with these desktops and laptops. If people are coming from desktops and laptops, this is the trend that you're going to see because nowadays people are actually accessing the web mostly through mobile device. And what happens is that when people are accessing your website through laptops or desktops, well, that mostly means that people who are professionals are coming to your website, and that usually means that people are going to come in to your website, they're going to take a look at it, and then they're going to go once their office is off. And such people come to your website very, very few times. So there are certain uphill battles that we have to fight uh, for this kind of a audience. But again, I'll go ahead and cover these few things with you sometime in some time, and of course we're going to see how to tackle these as well. Because of course you have a great, I mean this is not a good thing, of course, for your website that once people are off from work, they are not coming to your website. But again, there are ways to go ahead and be able to tackle that. So we are going to talk about web notifications. So web notifications are a great ways to go ahead and get your people back on your website. So we are going to talk about that as well. But again, as you can see, just by looking at a couple of trends, I did not help you even one bit. But look at yourself. I mean, you guys nailed it on the head. You were guys were able to go ahead and see the trend. You were able to spot it. You were able to understand exactly what kind of audience is coming to my website just by looking at one chart. I mean, just by looking at one chart, you were able to go ahead and generate so many ideas about that. And of course, you can see that you also notice that what kind of a device these people are using also. So you have a very good idea of the composition and the kind of people. Now, again, we are going to be talking about a few more reports just like that. Of course, that will give you much more depth about who your user is, and of course we can use such information every single time without fail to make sure that we generate a higher ROI from each of the campaigns that we run. So again, this is just the barely scratching the surface. And again, I was not prepared, but I saw this particular trend, so I could not help it. But as you can see, looking at numbers is not at all hard. It is pretty fun. And of course, if you take a look at data and if you put a little bit of a thought in it, again, the data points reveal the patterns within them. Without further ado, let's go ahead and see what these reportings, this UI is all about. First, I'll tell you a little bit about the UI itself, and then I'm going to go ahead and go through one of these reports one by one, and I'm going to tell you what these reports are, how do you read them, and what kind of information can you track out of each of these reports. So first, however, again, first I'll show you how this report is structured. So over here at the very top, this report, in fact, or this everything that you are seeing over here is broken down into three parts, three components. I have a top ribbon where you see this option over here. I'm trying to put my mouse over it. I don't know if you can see it, but it says all website data on the top left, and of course it has Google Analytics logo on even more left side. And of course, if you look at the right hand side, it has my account information. So nothing much happening over here. This top ribbon is again very basic in nature. The only really good part is that if I wanted to ever jump from one particular property to another, I can do that very easily. This is the navigation, which is very easy to go ahead and use. So again, that's the only use for it. But apart from that, we are going to be relying on the next two parts of our website. One is the left navigation, where you see things like home, customization, real-time, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. We are going to be spending a lot of time here. This is basically my navigation to make sure that I find the report that I'm looking at, and of course, I can go ahead and access those websites as well, or those reports as well. And then on the right hand side, you will see the third part of this all, and this is called reporting area. So in this reporting area, we will also see that it is also made up of a few components. Of course, we'll go ahead and tackle these as well, and we'll see what these things are. But first, let's go ahead and spend a little bit of time on this report navigation. On this left hand side, we're going to see what that is. And of course, the first thing over here is home. If you go ahead and click on it, it is going to straight away take you to our dashboard. So as you can see, this is a beautiful dashboard. It basically goes ahead and shows you all sorts of really cool charts, exactly how many people have come to your website, how many people are there. It also tells you exactly where people are coming from, what are the top 5 landing pages, and of course, which particular time do people come at, of course, what is their retention, and a few more things along with that. This kind of a format is called a dashboard, where you can see many different types of reports all crammed up into one little space over here. So as you can see, quite a lot of things going on only on this particular page right over here. So this is a dashboard, very useful one. Now we can also go ahead and create our own dashboards. We can go ahead and do that. But of course, those dashboards are not going to look as good. They're not going to look as good in color combination, but we can definitely get the same job done. It really helps, especially for very important executives in the organizations who have to keep an eye on every single aspect of the business, but unfortunately they cannot spend all the time on that particular website. So they cannot do that. They cannot really spend so much time there. That is why what happens is that ultimately they have to rely on these dashboards, where on one page itself they can view many different types of reports. But again, we are going to talk about dashboards at a later point in time as well. So we'll cover dashboards at a bit more depth at a later point in time. But as you can see, pretty helpful. Now, the second thing is we have a customization section. Of course, over here, there are 4 options. The first one of which is dashboards that we were talking about. So again, if you have to create your dashboards, this is where you are going to come to. Of course, we are going to see exactly how to create dashboards. So you will see that firsthand. Now, apart from that, there are 3 other options as well, out of which saved reports is one of them, which we are going to cover. But apart from that, custom reports and custom alerts, we are not going to cover them because again, it would require a lot of time for us to go ahead and be able to do that. And also on top of that, this is going to be something that you will be using as an analyst once you are maybe well into the field. I'll tell you the uses of both of the things, what is custom reports and what is custom alerts right away, right now itself, just so we don't have to come back to this once again. But again, we are not going to see how these things are built because again, it's going to take a lot of time, and again, that might not even be that useful for you guys. Now, firstly, let's talk about custom alerts. So, custom alerts is a way that I can tell Google to keep an eye on my numbers. You know, what happens is that in teams, in these big companies, what happens is that there are many analysts who are always looking at data just to make sure that their numbers are on track. Whenever their numbers move up or down, both of these things signify something. And these can be learnings for us to make sure that we are headed in the right direction. And if there is a learning, we must go ahead and take it. So what happens is that in custom alerts, we can go ahead and set up rules in which I can say that, hey Google, if my sessions increase or decrease by more than 5%, please let me know, call me or send me a message, and I will go ahead and take a look at my data at that moment in time. So again, it saves up a lot of time for an analyst. Instead of having to go into the system and keep on looking every day, they can set up these rules and Google will do the rest for them. So again, that is basically what custom alerts are. Very interesting aspects. I would definitely recommend you going ahead and reading a little bit more about it and finding out exactly how to create them. Apart from that, there is something called custom reports as well. Now, custom reports are again a very advanced topic for hardcore analysts only. And what happens is that there are a few reports which are hard to find, and in fact, there are some reports which you cannot actually see in the navigation. Those reports are coming out of your custom implementation. When you do your custom JavaScript and all of those things, there are a few reports which you may have to consult, but again, they are not going to be listed within these left navigation. So since we have not really covered these custom JavaScripts, and of course, because they require a lot of custom implementation knowledge, so since we have not covered that, we will not be covering custom reports as well. But again, as with filters, you will see that custom reports are much more than that. They are much more powerful than that. That their intended use. So you can use custom reports for in many different ways. So it is a good report, or it is a good particular feature to go ahead and get yourself acclaimed as well. Apart from that, we have something called dashboards and saved reports. We are going to definitely cover that. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and talk about these four different or these five different tabs over here: real-time, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. Again, we will cover these things in very at a much greater depth at a later point in time. But at this moment, I'm just trying to introduce the entire interface to you. So that's why I'm just going one by one very quick. So again, the next thing that we're going to talk about is real time. So now real time is also one of the reports that we are not going to cover after this time. I'm going to show you what this real time analytics is. For that, I'm going to go once on my website, and you will see immediately that I will see a big, as you can see, there is a person right over here at the heart of India who is using this website, and that's me, right? Immediately when I went to this website, as you can see, it has deciphered quite a lot of information and is trying to go ahead and show me exactly how many people are using my website right now. And that's exactly what it is. That's what real time stands for. Exactly how many people are using my website right as we speak. So the reason why we're not going to cover real-time analytics in a great detail is because it's a popular saying that there is no analytics called real-time analytics. Even though this is a really great report to take a look at, again, you will not be able to go ahead and create any insights based on that, because at any point in time you would have to wait for a bit. Even if you have released a campaign, you cannot really expect your campaigns to do wonderfully well in only 30 seconds or 10 minutes or 5 minutes. You have to give it a certain amount of time for it to work. And so that is why the ways we can use this report is only limited. In fact, most of the organizations use this report only as an easy ECG metric. They go ahead and, or which is ECG, is basically an electrocardiogram, I think. And basically it is just to make sure that that your website's vital statistics are in order. If people are there on your website and they are being able to go ahead and search things, they are being able to go from one page to another, they are active in your website and nothing's really stopping them. So again, this is just to make sure that the sanity checks are done on your website and everything is working fine. Apart from that, there is no analysis, no real analysis that you can do with this real-time analytics report. Apart from that, we have four different tabs which are loaded with a wealth of information about our customers and what happens on our website. So let's check that out. And again, that is where we are going to be spending most of our time in. So we have the first thing called audience section. This is where we will find many reports telling us only one thing and the most important thing. And that is that who is our audience? Who is that person who comes to our website? Well, what is his age? What is his gender? How many times does that person come on your website? How strong that person's loyalty is? Where is that person coming from? Is he using a mobile device? And many other questions can be answered just by looking at audience report. So again, we are going to talk about audience reports very extensively because again, what happens is that no matter which particular business vertical you are in, the most important and most fundamental knowledge that you need to have is who your audience is in the first place. That is going to help you no matter what you do in a business. So we're going to talk about that. Then we have something called acquisition. This is going to be very interesting for digital marketers. Now, digital marketers have a very unique kind of a ask from analytics, and that is to help them with their campaign performance. So we are going to see this campaign performance. We are going to see how these people or how you can go ahead and find out more about this particular website, how you can go ahead and find out more about your campaigns, and again, how can you optimize these campaigns? What kind of metrics should you be looking at? What metric is good? What metric is bad? How much of some metric is good and how much of the other metric is bad? So we're going to be talking about that in acquisitions part. And lastly, we have behavior and conversions. So of course, in behavior, I already know about my customer through audience section. I already know basically where that customer is coming from. The next thing that I want to know, that once these people are here on my website, what are they really doing? What is their behavior all about? What are the few pages that they're checking out? What are the landing pages where people are coming and they're showing up on my website? Which particular videos are they watching? Which particular songs are people listening to? And many more things like that. So we are going to be talking about that as well. And lastly, we have conversions. Now, conversions are of course a part of behavior only, but since they are very important to our website and for our own survival, they have got a tab of their own in which we can see how many goals have happened, how many conversions have happened in the recent past, and what to do about that. So we've definitely we're going to cover quite a lot of things over here. And with that in mind, I will go back to the audience overview report that we were looking at, and I will go ahead and introduce you to how this reporting area looks now. So by now, you probably have a good idea about what and how these left navigation has been handled, what kind of reports you will find in each of these tabs. But again, now we're going to see how these reports look if you take a look at these reports individually. So the first report that we're going to take a look at is overview report. It's an audience overview report. And even this particular section, this reporting area is broken down into four of its own parts. Over here as well, we do have a top ribbon, and I'll go ahead and try to highlight that. I'll go to select that. So this is my top ribbon of a reporting area. As you can see on the left hand side, I can see the name of the report over here. And then on the right hand side, I can see the list of actions that I can do and make on this particular report. So there are few actions that I can take, and those things are I can save this report. So if you remember, if I go ahead and click on save, of course it's going to give me an option to be able to save this report. But again, if I hit OK, what it's going to do is it's going to mark that report under custom reports. So that is one more part of Google Analytics, one of the more features that you can use in Google Analytics. As you can see, this is one of the reports that I had saved from my previous session. It is just a very simple way to be able to save a report or a bookmark or a report. I think bookmark would be even better of a name because it tells you exactly what it's doing. So it doesn't matter which report you are taking a look at. If you want to bookmark that report, if you have to come to that report more often than not, well, you can go ahead and click on save and go ahead and make it a part of your saved reports. That is just one easy way to go ahead and bookmark these reports. Once that is out of the way, we have an option to go ahead and export this report. Exporting the report is a very important task for a person like me. I'm a hardcore analyst. Well, that means that I have to really work with a lot of formulas and on Excel. So a lot of times I actually have to generate some data into Google Analytics, and then I have to extract it from Google Analytics to generate some meaningful insights in Excel, because I may have to put some formulas over it and any other things. So I can go ahead and do that. I can export this report in PDF, Google Sheet, XLSX, which is Microsoft Excel format, and then lastly, comma separated value. Apart from that, I can also share this report with anyone within or outside my organization as well. So I can go ahead and do that for each of these reports. Then I have something called intelligence events as well. So intelligence events is basically Google's way to tell me that what is interesting about my data. So what happens is that Google is training its own artificial intelligence to make sure that it can highlight the data which requires some attention according to their own algorithms. So when that happens, whenever Google finds out something interesting, they can go ahead and mark that under intelligence. At this moment in time, it's in a very nascent stage. You would not see something really groundbreaking happening. But again, as the time progresses, you may find something really interesting going on with Google Analytics. But at this moment in time, it's a pretty basic feature which tells you exactly what happened based on your historical data. And again, if there's any interesting trend that has just come up. Apart from that, if we move out of our first section of this particular reporting area, that top ribbon, you will find that the very next thing is called a segment bar. This over here, I'll try to highlight this once again. So this part of the website is called a segment bar. As you can see, currently it's telling me that it is showing me the data of all users, 100% of them, but I can also go ahead and click on something that is right next to it, and that is by adding a segment. So I can go ahead and add a segment as well. So now some of you guys might have heard about customer segments. Some of you guys may know that already because again, you guys are digital marketers. You guys probably are working with target groups and things like that already. So that's what it is. So at many companies who vouch for this kind of a method where you should reach out to a subset of users which are grouped together based on some kind of a commonality. So again, that is what customer segment is. It's a grouping of customer based on some kind of commonality. And again, it is in an exaggerated format. Of course, you can say that 18-year-olds are going to think very much alike. But if you take a group of 65-year-olds, they are going to think a lot different from these 18-year-olds. So 65-year-olds, 60-year-olds would have a lot more in common than they would have with an 18-year-old group. So again, that kind of a knowledge is there and has been used by marketing for a very long time. So again, we can use that, leverage that for our own analysis as well. So we can do that by using these customer segments. So that with this particular calendar format right over here, this is the second part of this particular report, in which you can go ahead and either place a segment on this report, or you can select a time frame based on which this report will be reprocessed, and you will only see the data corresponding to the segment that you have selected or the time range that you have selected. Moving on, the third part of this reporting area is of course this chart over here. This is the graphical representation. Over here you can see a trend line. There are a few reports where you will be able to see the graphical representation, and of course lastly I have the numbers. So this is how the report looks. Of course, this is an overview report. So you can see that there are some numbers listed over here, like average session duration, pages per session, users and page views, and so on and so forth. But 90% of the times we will be spending time on tabular data reports. What does that even mean? Well, let me go ahead and give you a glimpse of that by showing you the first report of the day, which we are going to take a look at, and that is called age group report. So let's go ahead and see what that is, and let's see what tabular format looks like. Again, that is where we are going to be spending 99% of our time, maybe more than 90% at least. So again, let's go to the age group report. That is going to be under demographic, and of course that is going to be age. If I scroll at the bottom, you'll find that I have 239 users over here, and age groups of each of them is listed over here on the left hand side. So I have 25 to 34-year-old, I have 35 to 44, 45 to 54, and 18 to 24. So again, I can see that there are a few people coming from these age groups, and I can also see that how each of these age groups are performing on my website. Very, very simple and straightforward report to go ahead and use. So again, all my age groups are listed on the left hand side, and each age group is represented in numbers on the right hand side. So if I wanted to know how many users from 25 to 34-year-old came to my website, well, this many, right? And these people made so many sessions, 127 sessions, and of course their bounce rate was 81.89%, and the pages per session was 1.43. So again, I can look at these age groups and the corresponding metric to each of these age groups, and that can tell me that how these age groups differ from each other, and if there is any age group which is doing much better than the different ones, others, then that is also going to be something really, really helpful for me. Does this report kind of looks pretty easy? Is this report clear to all of you guys? Adnan, Arnab, Bhavna, Kuldeep, Mayurakshi, how to read this report, what this report kind of means? I bet it is very, very simple and straightforward, so it shouldn't be really tough. Perfect. Thank you very much, Kuldeep. Thank you very much, Shefali, Prateek. Perfect. Awesome. Now Adnan is saying, can you add your own age group, say 18 to 22? Nope, that is not possible. And I'll tell you in a short in a few seconds why that is the case. Why can't we add any uh, age group according to our choice? We cannot do that. But I'll tell you in a few seconds why is that. All right, so that is my age group, and I want you to note over here that we have been able to find out the age groups of 239 users. Now I'll go ahead and go to the next report, the gender report, which is also part of demographics report. Again, tells us more about which particular gender these people belong to. And as you can see, it is giving me the data for 239 users over here as well. And of course, I see that mostly people who are coming to my website are male. Of course, when it comes down to bounce rate, men and women both are uh, equally there. They're basically at the same pace over there. And of course, you can see pages per session going on, and of course the average session duration for each of these groups over here. So pretty interesting, pretty straightforward, and also very, very easy to use. But there is one little thing I want to point out over here, that the report that I just showed you over here, demographics, and in fact, there is a report that I'm going to show you in a few minutes called interest reports, is in fact created by Google's algorithm. One thing you might have tried asking yourself while I was showing you this report is that how is Google Analytics even getting this data? Just because I had a few people come to my website does not mean that these people are going to give me their gender information, their age information. So there is no way that these people are going to provide me this information. In fact, if you take a look at it, from May 1st to May 31st, I actually had 516 users who came to my website. But the data, if I see in demographics report, that is going to be all about 239 users, and that's about it. So where did the rest of the users go? Well, what happened is that there are a lot of people who came to my website. That's true. But what happens is that when these people go on Google search and they search for something, things like Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni, cricket, and maybe few more things like that. At some point in time, Google can tell with a certain amount of confidence that hey, this person has these kind of search histories. So I think that this person must be 22-year-old, or this person might be 65-year-old. So that is again Google's own algorithm saying at one place that hey, I think that this is what's going on. But what happens is that firstly, it is not going to give you data for every person, because Google might also not have data for somebody. And even if they do have data, it is a possibility that they might not have enough data to make sure that they are able to say something about that user. So that definitely puts us to a great disadvantage already. But then we also have a very big error as well, and that is error of estimation. So whenever you have any prediction algorithm, it would have its own error rate, and that error rate happens to be higher in developing countries, because what happens is that in developed countries, personal computer or a laptop means a personal computer. But what happens is that in India, where there are so many people sharing laptops and desktops, what happens is that these personal computers are not really personal computers. In fact, they are called family computers. So there could be more than one people who could be using these laptops. So what happens is that in developing countries, it is a very, very common scenario where you can have a Google algorithm going haywire, because a lot of people are using the same laptop every single time. So again, this report needs to be taken with a pinch of salt, along with the gender report, along with the interest reports, which I'm going to show you next. But these are great reports to go ahead and work on nonetheless. So you can go ahead and find out some interesting insights out of this data, and then what you can do is, sorry about that. So again, you can go ahead and try to find out some interesting insights out of these age groups and gender data. And then what you can do is you can go ahead and play around with that, put some money in there so that you can test your ideas. If these ideas are working out for you, well, then you can ramp up the money. Never ever use this report as an end all be all report. You should never put money blindly on these demographics report and interest report, even though both of these reports are very, very amazing. And I'm going to show you interest reports first before telling you one successful strategy that I did which worked out for me, and one big major blunder that we did as well, in which we basically lost a lot of money. So again, let's go to interest reports first. And of course, this report is going to get you really excited, this interest reports. And then I'll tell you about a success story and a failure as well. So again, the next report that I'm going to show you is affinity categories report. So again, over here as well, you can see that almost similar number of people are here, 269 users. It is showing me data for that. But if you take a good notice over here, what it will show you is affinity categories of these people who are coming to your website. Basically, what that means is that this report is telling you what are other things that your customers are also interested in. What are some things that these people are interested in apart from your website? So as you can see that people who come to my website, even though my website is all about analytics, a lot of these people who come to my website are also people who love to shop online. They love to do value shopping. Then I have people who love to have, I mean, they're business professionals, which is of course going to be the case because again, my topic is a very niche topic. It is going to be something that is going to be relevant to business professionals, but not many outside of it. Then I have people who love technology and people who love photography. Right. So these are some interesting information that I can get for my particular user base that comes to my website. And again, it gives me wealth of information because something that I have always felt, I've always felt that no matter how much I was close to somebody, no matter how well I knew somebody, but whenever their birthday was about to be here, I used to always get afraid that what should I buy that person? What does that person really likes? What is that person going to be get really excited by? And what happens is that there is nothing like this available in real life. You cannot really read your friend's mind. You cannot really read your spouse's mind in a report. But this report is exactly that. It is going to give you a printout of what is going on in your customer's mind. And this is a very, very powerful report. This is something that we can use in many, many different ways to make sure that our business is going in the right direction. In fact, we can go ahead and create ways to really be a game changer, in fact. And I'll go ahead and give you an example how we were able to do that. But before I do that, before I tell you what we did, I want you to tell me that what can you do by using this report to your business? How can you really help your business by using this report? And again, a good way to think about it is that you are really you're really finding a report which is telling you that what is going on in the other person's mind. What if you could read somebody's mind? How would you use that information to make your business grow? So again, just give it a little thought, and I'll also go ahead and try to see what Arnav was saying in the meantime. Again, just give it a little thought that how can you use this report for getting or taking your business to the next level? And I'll tell you one really cool thing that we did. Of course, Adnan has one answer. And Arnav is saying why these age groups are highlighted. Okay. So let me go back to that age group as well, very quick. I'll go ahead and do that. Kuldeep says put some ads on these types of websites. Okay, so put some ads on these types of websites to get some traffic from there. So that's a good point. Adnan says create blog posts around these topics to attract these users. Very, very good point. Adnan, that's a good one. Bhavna, Kuldeep, Mayurakshi, Prateek, Shefali, what do you think? How can we use that report? And Arnab, you might have to help me with this. So, what did you mean that why are the age groups highlighted? Can you please help me with that? Which one is highlighted or which one is not highlighted? Can you please help me with that? But apart from everybody else, think of the other report, affinity categories report. You can see that these affinity categories are listed over here. How would you use this report? Like I said earlier, there is no negative marking, guys. Make sure you are bouncing off your ideas. You might find something really interesting that you can actually go ahead and use in your business, right? Or you might inspire somebody else, right? So very, very important, guys. Adnan, another really good one from him. He says that run targeted ads with these targeting parameters. Yes, that's definitely true. You can definitely in some places find psychographic or behavioral interests, and you can go ahead and target people based on that. So of course you can use that over there. Also, Adnan, or Arnab, in fact, Arnab, please let me know if I'm looking at the right report, because you said that why are the age groups highlighted. So again, please, if there are, if you can help me out, if you have, what issue did you have? Can you click on the age tab on left? Yes, that's where I'm at. This is the age group report, demographics age, 25 to 34. This group is highlighted. Yes, so I'm looking at this report itself, but every number is highlighted. I mean, I'm getting the highest number of users over here. That is why it is showing up on the top, because again, everything is descending order according to users. So I have 25 to 34 at the very top. It is highlighted in blue. Are you talking about this over here in the graphical representation, or are you talking about something else? Highlighted in blue. I don't see it. Uh, because all of them are written in blue. I'm sorry if I'm not being able to understand you, but okay. So only the okay. So if you are saying why are the age groups highlighted in blue, so that is any age group, right? So not just 25 to 34, but all of them are blue, because they are clickables. Basically they are links. If you go ahead and click on them, they are going to take you to the gender report, but this time you are only inspecting people who are 25 to 34-year old. So again, whenever there is anything which will take you somewhere as a link, they will go ahead and mark that under blue as their own CSS or their own styling. So that's just design of the website. That's it. Okay. So apart from that, coming back to this report over here. Now what we have is, of course, we have interesting things written over here. We can see that how these people are coming from these different, these different types of passions, you can say, or maybe different types of interests that people have. Now, of course, this would be a great report if I can find that about my wife, right? So, if I can figure out that exactly what goes on in her mind and what does she like, ranked in an order, that this is what she likes the most, this is what she likes second most, and third most. This would be the most helpful thing in the world, right? There's nothing like that available on the internet or any other platform. It cannot happen, right, in real life. So this is a very treasured report, because we get that for our customers. Even though we cannot really find that out about people who are close to us, but we can see that for our own customers. And of course, we can use it in many different ways. Three of which were absolutely very well highlighted by Adnan and Kuldeep. So Adnan says that, hey, we can create blog posts around these topics to attract these users, because that is something that really happens a lot of times, that we have written quite a lot of blog articles, we have not been getting enough traction, or even if we have been getting traction, but we want to move our blog forward into a new direction. What is that new direction? Where should you move your blog? Sometimes it could be a gut instinct which can guide us, but the better thing to do is to make sure that we write articles which our customers are interested in. And this could be one very, very good way to find out what our customers are actually interested in, right? Apart from that, we can also go ahead and tie up with websites in that particular domain, right? And we can target our advertisements through those websites, or we can go ahead and run targeted ads with these parameters, where we can target photographers, we can target health and fitness buffs, and so on and so forth. So quite a lot of things we can do. So one thing that we did, and that was when I was in Snapdeal, that we tried to go ahead and create a new reward program for our customers. One thing that you might be aware of is that these e-commerce industries are known for shelling out discounts. And even though discounts are a great way to go ahead and acquire new customers, it has been proven time and time again, and I can go ahead and list out so many different learnings that I've had in my life. I mean, in as an analyst and as a working professional, that when you put money in something, it is bound to fail. It is bound to fail, guys. That is exactly the reason why, even though these organizations have been spending so much money, still there is no profitability in sight. Because what happens is that you can actually go ahead and test it out in real life as well. That instead of giving your wife or your husband a gift, give that person an envelope full of cash. No matter how much cash you give, well, that is still going to go down in the books as being unthoughtful. It will bring them happiness for a minute. And oh my god, you give them so much cash, but no, okay, that's nothing. No excitement, nothing that would really go on for a long haul. But if you buy somebody a gift wrapped in a sheet, what happens is that even if that particular gift that you're giving is not really something that is way too expensive, but still what happens is that whenever that person is going to unwrap that sheet, it is going to reach out in that box. That excitement is going to be there, and that is going to be an experience that that person is going to remember. And of course, if it is a thoughtful gift, it will be way more worth. It would have that much of an emotional value, that it would be worth way more than any amount of cash that you can have, right? So what has happened is that, again, that is something that we already know about our own relationships. But what has happened is that, on the other hand, we are committing the same suicidal mistakes with our customers, wherein we are giving cash discounts to all of them. And look at where we are. There is no brand loyalty in sight, and like I said, there is no profitability in sight either. So what happened was that we came to a proposition, since I was in their pricing and profitability team. So we gave a recommendation that we should go ahead and find more innovative ways to go ahead and reward our customers. And guess what? One of the things that was showing up on top for our own customers was being a movie lover, which is basically on number 8 over here. But for us, it was number 1. And of course, that is no surprise there, because in India, people love watching movies. So what we did was we went ahead and tied up with Book My Show vouchers, Book My Show, to go ahead and provide these people vouchers. Some of our best customers, of course, we gave them couple movie vouchers, and of course a voucher for free food as well. So for the entire time while that person was watching a movie with his or her loved one, they knew that everything has been taken care of by Snapdeal. That this particular moment is because of Snapdeal, and we saw a very stunning response because of that. Of course, we started small. We did not really go with a bang. We did not spend crores and crores of rupees in a new kind of a program right off the bat. We first tested it with about 300 people. We saw, once the gift had been redeemed, these people had watched the movies. We analyzed how these people are behaving on the website, and again, that is where the true breakthrough happened. Because what we realized was that these people were in fact coming more frequently on our website now, and they were even going ahead and buying things of much higher value. So the average order value of these 300 people also increased, because again, we created an experience for them rather than just giving them cash discounts. Because again, this is something that you can test it out for yourself as well, in yourself, that no matter if how much of a cash discount you get, 20%, 30%, 50%, 60%, it will never sound, you will never feel that, thank you, Amazon, you gave me 60% discount. You'll be like, yes, I got discount, but you will never be thankful to that company. Even though all of this money is actually coming out of the pockets of Amazon and Snapdeal. In fact, they are the benefactors of that particular deal, but you will still never feel like thanking them. You will never feel that that cash discount is coming from them. You'll be like, yes, I got that deal. but you will never feel that they gave me that deal. On the other hand, when you get a couple movie vouchers, and you get that voucher for free food, you know that this was done by Snapdeal. You are like, thank you, Snapdeal. You did something for me. You will never be like, yes, I got it for something. I got for my buying behavior. No, you will never do that. In fact, that is experience. And again, experiences, we know that somebody else is building for us. So again, that is a great way. Again, that is one success story for us, that we were able to use these reports to make our reward program even stronger. And of course, as I mentioned, we were able to increase our retention and an average order value because of this reward program as well. Now, a quick question from you guys, just a guessing game. Now, I told you that we gave a Book My Show voucher with a free food voucher as well for two people, on each of these 300 people. Now, how much do you think that each ticket would have cost us? How much do you think each for each couple movie voucher Snapdeal would have paid to? How much money Snapdeal would have paid to Book My Show? How much do you think? It's a guessing game, guys. Again, no negative marking here as well. What do you guys think? How much Snapdeal would have paid Book My Show for each of these couple movie vouchers? Adnan, Mayurakshi, Prateek, Shefali, Simon, Arnab, Kuldeep. What do you guys think? 400 maybe? Adnan says very low amount of free because Book My Show is also getting promotion. That's right. That's right. We got it for 0 rupees, guys. We got it completely for free. Absolutely right, Arnab. So we were promoting each other. So basically, at the same time, Book My Show was able to acquire more customers from Snapdeal. So it took it as a user acquisition strategy, and they went ahead and, of course, did this deal with us. And I'm not saying that you will also get a similar deal for free. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that when you think of innovative ways and when you knock the doors, interesting things can happen to you. And of course, in this particular case, we were able to not only serve our customers better, but we were able to understand, or we were able to get these deals from Book My Show. But again, the most important part is we rewarded the customer in the way that they appreciated the most. That is the most important thing, because if you actually give somebody a thoughtful gift, that goes a long way. That creates memories, guys. Lastly, I was going to tell you one story where we lost a lot of money, and I'll be very brief about this because there is not much to say. Like I said over here, that these numbers are also wrong sometimes. There was a big investment that Jabong made while creating a Jabong Juice magazine, in basically which we basically had a magazine which was targeted mainly towards females. And what we found out was that in our Google Analytics, we saw that 70% of the population that comes to our website was females. But in fact, it was the opposite, the other way around, where in fact 70% of our buying happened through men. The 70% of people who came to our website were actually men. So this actually really threw our numbers off. We were prepared for having a great set of deals with famous celebrities, famous female celebrities, and again we had targeted so much content for women that even though initially we got a lot of traction, because of course there were a lot of people who came to our website, and they were checking out these magazines, and of course these people were men. Lately, I mean, after a couple of issues, these people realized that, of course, this content is not relevant to them. So even though we created a huge buzz about it and we created this magazine, and initially we got a lot of traction in our online magazine. I'm talking about online magazine. So we got a lot of traction there. But what happened was, as the time progressed, the traction got thinner and thinner. Didn't matter how much hard work we did. but in fact the result was really poor. And only after some time, when we started using a completely different analytics tool, we realized that in fact the segment that we were taking a look at was actually incorrect. And that is what when the first time I realized that these numbers over here in Google Analytics are absolutely based on their own calculations and guesstimations. So there are some certain amount of errors. But again, there are only two reports which are, or two sets of reports which are created by these guesstimations. These are demographics and interest reports. Apart from these two, every other report is going to be all about real data, exactly what happened. So you will not have to really worry about anything like this in the next set of reports. But again, this report, especially this affinity category report, is a very special one. Even though again there could be a few errors over here, there could be a few guesstimation errors, there could be few different things that you need to, excuse me, keep in mind. But again, this is a report you will not find in any other analytics tool in the world. It is a very, very good report, and it is all available to you for completely free. So make sure you go ahead and use this report. Again, start with a small amount, see if that is working out for you. If that is really taking your business to the next level, if it is really working for you, if your numbers are really getting bigger, if they're really growing. If they are, then you can choose to go ahead and keep on investing more and more and more and more. Never try to go ahead and spend a lot of money, especially on based on anything that you come out of, or if, that you basically generate an insight out of these interest and demographics report. These are two reports, again, you can consult, but be wary of it. That's it for today's session, guys. It's 9:30 already, so I'll go ahead and get you that feedback link. Again, I hope that you guys took some notes, you learned from what we discussed today. There are quite a lot of things that we did even today. So we talked about firstly the goals, then we have been talking about the reports. In the next session, we are going to continue talking about these reports, and we are going to talk about something really exciting the next time, and that is going to be UTM tracking. So we're going to see how this UTM tracking really looks like and how it works. And that is going to give you a very good understanding of campaign performance. So in the next session, we're going to talk about campaign performance in particular. But that's it from my side, guys. That is the feedback link for you. Adnan, thank you very much. Arnav, Kuldeep, Prateek, Shefali, Simon, thank you very much, guys, that you came here today. I know some of you guys might have had plans, but again, thank you very much once again. Again, if you have any questions at a later point in time, you can get in touch with us. There is a Q&A platform as well for Digital Vidya. Make sure you drop in your questions there. But that's it. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you learned once again. And I'm really glad that you actually were able to answer correctly on both the occasions when we were talking about the graphical representation, as well as the ways we can use that report, this affinity categories report. So again, you guys are doing great job. You're headed in the right direction. So we'll go ahead and continue with in the next session with a much greater intensity, and we will go ahead and take a look at a lot of reports. But thank you very much once again. I will go ahead and see you on Tuesday. Have a great night ahead of yourself. Bye bye. Thank you very much.